Let's talk today about the steps needed to launch your first AWS Linux instance. Um, After you logged in to your AWS console, all you need to do is go to Services, then from Compute, go to EC2, then select Instances, then go to Launch Instance. Here you have the Amazon Image or AMI. So these are basically the operating system that you are looking for. It ranges from normal operating system to a specific operating system that hosts a specific server or database. In this tutorial we are looking for Amazon Linux AMI, and it's a free tier, so it's free for 1 year for new Amazon for new AWS users. Select. Here you have the instance type, so you are basically trying to find out what resources you are looking for this instance. You are looking for CPU, the memory, storage type, performance, network performance stuff, and for this tutorial we are selecting the general purpose T2.micro. Also it's eligible for free tier for 1 year. Select next. Configuration instant details. So this is basically we are looking for to create to select our virtual private cloud. Then we are selecting our subnets and whether we want to have assigned public IP for this instance. So here we did not create VPC yet, and we don't have subnet created yet. We can create a new virtual private cloud and create VPC. We can name that VPC like demo1. Here we select the CIDR block 10.0.0.0/16 and create. We are successfully having our VPC now, and this is the ID. So basically it assigned a unique ID. We need one more thing to configure our instance, which is subnet. Let's create a new subnet. Let's call it subnet 1. VPC, it's the one that we just created. So we are selecting the virtual private cloud, and we are creating that subnet inside this virtual private cloud. And availability zones, these are the zones available, and this is the main CIDR. So now we can create subnets. 24. Create. So now we see the one that the virtual private cloud that we just created is here selected, and the subnet as well, subnet 1 in US West 1B. Make sure your auto assigned public IP is enabled for us to access this instance using SSH later on. Then we go to next, add storage. This is where your operating system will be saved. It's the root, it's a volume type, this is the device name, and this is the storage. It's basically 8 gigs of general purpose SSD, and you have different type of volume. We are selecting SSD here. Next we can add tags. This is optional. This is good for documentation. Let's say key equal name and value equal with server. So basically we can add something like key, let's say name, and we call the instance, let's call it Linux demo. Next we will configure the security group. It's the Amazon firewall. So here we have by default the SSH port 22. Source from anywhere, it's just universal. So basically from anywhere you are, you can SSH to this instance. You can call your security group name or the firewall. You can call it demo1 SG, for example. You have also description here. If you have an HTTP server, you can add a rule to allow that. So by selecting HTTP port 80 by default port name, and here you have the IPv6, IPv4 allowed from anywhere. For now we don't need this. We go review and launch. You have the review information here, the instance type, security group, storage, tags. All we need to do is click on launch. Here we have the authentication method that you have to create. We are trying to create a key pair, public private, for authentication or to SSH to our instance later on. So basically if you have an existing key or you just want to create a new one, name this key, let's call it Linux demo1. You are downloading the key pair here. So basically download and make sure the private key it's in safe location. So now it's downloaded. We can launch our instance, and here we are successfully having our instance is now launching. We can go to services, EC2 instances, and we see here that one is initializing. We can click on refresh. So this is the IPv4 public IP, and here we are successfully having our first instance. Also make sure that you do have in your VPC a routing table and internet gateway. So you go to the VPC, route tables, and you have the internet gateway attached to our VPC, and this is the ID demo1, and we do have route table, and go to the routes, added routes. You have the default route, and the target is the internet gateway, and it's active. So now in order to access this virtual server, we are going to SSH using PuTTY. However, before going to do that, we are going to convert the private key that we downloaded from BEM file type to PPK file type using application called PuTTY Key Generator. So we are going to open the PuTTY generator, and we click on load. Then we change the file type to all files. Then we select the key that we downloaded. Then we here click on save private key. Yes. Let's give it a name. Underscore private. Then we save. Close. We are going to try to SSH now. So here we are, port 22, the host name, or the IP address. So this is basically the public IP address for our instance. So we go on, if we go down there, we see it here, we just copy, then back to the body, we paste it here. From the left side, we are going to click expand SSH and then authentication. Then we are going here to upload the private key. So we go browse, and this is the ppk file, then open. Let's go back to the session and let's try to open. Here is the login. For the first time, the default username is EC2-user, and here we are successfully logged into our virtual server. Once you are done, make sure to either stop or terminate your instance. Go to the instance, go to the action, then go to the instance state, and you can either stop that instance. You are not going to be charged if you have the first year as a user, or you can terminate this instance. So I will just terminate for now. And it's saying that it's shutting down, so we are going to wait for it to be completely terminated, and you cannot go back anymore to this instance. I hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Like and subscribe. Thank you.